the pitching machine.
Yeah. Was it 80 miles an hour they were shooting these dodgeballs at him?
Man.
So they got to get the shots. So it's just 20 minutes of him just getting pelted with a dodgeball, and they're going for the comedy zones. So it's all head and face. And he's like, man, it's going kind of fast. And he gets done, and then Vince Vaughn comes in to shoot his stuff. And Justin Long does the greatest Vince Vaughn impersonation where he's just like, it's too fast. What are we doing?
Let's go, a little hustle here. Holy hell, son, you're about as useful as a flavored lollipop.
Welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the iKnowBadeaux podcast. Man at you from the Slice on Oak Studios. I am Mayor Dave Badeaux of the city of Brainerd, and with me, as always, is my brother.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
All right, perfect. Also over there, Gabriel Johnson, hockey hat.
Hockey hat. Let's go. Tryouts this weekend.
All right, nice. But I also see American flag.
America.
Team America. Let's talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Be Kind Rewind. Ménage à trois.
All right.
2004, by the way. I forgot to say 2004.
Yes.
So for those of you who have never been with us, this is the Be Kind Rewind, the episodes of the podcast in which we talk about a specific year. In this case, 2004. Typically, we have part un, which is TV, music, pop culture, killdozers, bombings.
Call the police because there's going to be a bomb at the box office.
But part deux is the movies from that year. Now, the funny thing about the year 2004 is that there's just too many goddamn good movies.
Loaded.
Plus, it is the 20th anniversary. So we said, let's break this down. Let's actually extend it. This will be the one and only Ménage à trois. But I wanted to say super fast before we get started talking about these movies, part of the reason why I think it's a great idea that we're doing this is because 2004 is peak DVD culture.
Yeah.
Would you guys agree to that?
It's peak DVD. Yeah. YouTube came out in 2005. Netflix started streaming in like 2007. Blu-ray was like 2006. So everything was just chipping away at the DVDs after 2004.
Yeah, and so there's a actual business model built into these movies, and we'll talk about that as we go. But thoughts on any of the movies we're going to talk today? Anything we talked about last week? Anything you want to throw out quick before we get started?
What did we talk about last week?
All sorts of goodness. We talked about tons of stuff.
Sin Rambo.
LDB Cooper.
LDB Cooper. Yeah, go back and check out last week's episode where we talked about Team America. We talked about Napoleon Dynamite. We also talked about specifically, as you said, DB Cooper and Sin Rambo, which is Without a Paddle.
To you English speakers.
To you English speakers. Check that one out. All right, let's get started real quick. The movie that I want to throw out for the beginning of 2004, Anchorman.
It was the 1970s.
Looking good, San Diego.
In a simpler time,
Hey, Garth, how's the divorce?
Oh, not so good. I'll probably never see my kids.
Fantastic.
Will Ferrell is Ron Burgundy,
Who's that handsome devil?
a Californian so popular
You stay classy, San Diego.
he could have been governor.
Hey, I like that fanny.
Oh, Mr. Burgundy.
Anchorman, the legend of Ron Burgundy.
Burgundy did it. Hi-ho. Oh, Ron Burgundy is down, and it is bad.
Maybe the hardest I've ever laughed in a movie theater.
Really?
When I was 16.
Okay, I got a
16, 17?
take on that as well. But honestly, the hardest you've ever laughed.
Yes.
Okay.
As a movie-going experience, crowded theater.
Okay.
I mean, just roaring with laughter pretty much start to finish.
That's absolutely awesome. This is a fantastic movie. I'm going to say that. My experience, exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm a huge Will Ferrell fan, and especially in 2004, Dave Badeaux was excited for Will Ferrell. SNL, specifically this movie, the director, Adam McKay, who was the head writer at SNL during maybe my favorite time of SNL. It's not the best time of SNL, but it's my favorite because I was like 15, right? 1998.
It's everybody's favorite.
Yeah, it's always
everybody's favorite time of SNL is when they were 13 to 15.
Yeah, it's when it was.
That's all their favorite music. It's their favorite TV.
Yeah.
It's everything.
It's when it was written for you, and it's when you have nothing going on Saturday, so you're watching every episode. But I was super excited for this movie. My experience with the theater, they had the volume turned down too low, and you could hardly hear it. And so I left this movie really, really, really disappointed. Like I actually left and was like, I didn't really have a good time in that theater at all. And I knew that part of it was that I couldn't like hear the jokes, but nobody in the theater could hear the jokes. So it's just like this weird atmosphere of people being disinterested in the movie. DVD came around.
Yes.
Freaking died.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, how did I not think this was a good movie? How did I not enjoy it?
I don't believe you.
Little history, little backstory.
Let's do it.
Will Ferrell was at home
Okay.
watching the Lifetime special, Intimate Portrait, Jessica Savage.
Yes.
And it was about the 1970s and a woman, Jessica Savage, going into the newsroom in Philadelphia.
Yes.
And the men were not happy with it.
Nope.
And the main anchor there in Philadelphia was a man named Mort Krim. And he was just a misogynistic beast. And Will Ferrell thought it was just hilarious.
Yes.
So he sent it over to Adam McKay and said, "You have to watch this." Adam McKay thought it was hilarious. So that Anchorman, Ron Burgundy, is based on Mort Krim, a real life guy who was scared of women coming into the newsroom.
Yeah, and Will Ferrell actually says that during the documentary, he actually says in 1976, I was a misogynistic pig.
Yeah, he refers to himself as that.
It's a great concept for a movie, but it also, the format of this comedy is great as well. The narration of it is a cool addition, I think.
I didn't remember that when I was watching
Really?
it. Every time the narrator came on, I was like, it caught me off guard.
Really?
Yeah.
Because, it's in the title, right? It's The Legend of Ron Burgundy.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like it's titled as a documentary, kind of.
Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, 2004 is also peak of having to add a second colon, to the semicolon, why do we got to have the additional name to all the names? And maybe it's just Judd Apatow. Maybe that was just kind of his thing, but you had...
Well, there's another one that we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah,
It has exactly that same thing.
and kind of Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Just very long titles.
Yeah.
But later on, we'll get to Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind as well. The titles are too long in 2004.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
I think that's crazy, though. It's such a fun, lift off the top of the heads and figure out how you get to the making of a movie like this. And it's just a moment of sitting, watching TV and going, holy shit, send this to my buddy. He's going to think this is hilarious.
And we're going to make $1 billion.
Well, and invent probably the most iconic character of this entire year. And maybe even...
Maybe this century in comedies.
Well, so Napoleon Dynamite would be up there as well. But I would say that we're more long lasting with the Wrong Birdie. Wrong Birdie shows up at award shows.
Oh, he was everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a podcast.
Yeah.
You did a podcast for a while. Ron Burgundy did a podcast.
Well, and the bonus material on the DVD, it has fake interviews of Ron Burgundy at ESPN and just Ron Burgundy doing an interview with a real newscaster dude.
Yep.
And just, he's everywhere. He does everything.
Yeah. So I think most people have seen the movie, right? The basic premise of it is that a female enters into this
Male space.
completely male-dominated space.
Anchorman for a reason.
I think that's my favorite scene from the movie is when they just are taking turns, each one of them with their own personality, yelling at the station manager, who you said was played by
Fred Willard.
Fred Willard. Yep. Great actor. Shows up in these little roles throughout a bunch of these films now. But I think it's an interesting tale, right? A little fish out of water on her end, but it's written the opposite direction, which is kind of interesting. Typically, fish out of water is you're following that character.
Right.
This is following everyone else dealing with a fish out of water, which is an interesting take. And I will say that in terms of the way this movie is shot, this leans into what we wanted to talk about, which is DVDs.
Right.
So this is, again, peak DVD culture, 2004. Movies are now being made not just to be in the theater, not just hit the home market, but then specifically hit the DVD market, which started adding all the bonus features. And initially it was just something a little extra, right? Oh, we shot this
gag reel,
Yeah.
deleted scenes.
Yeah, a little bit behind the scenes type stuff, but not a lot, right? Just a little bit. Hey, we got the extra space here. Let's fill it up.
Yeah, let's add some
Yeah.
content. And I remember Kevin Smith in one of his early films is basically talking shit about the idea of doing dubbing over the movie and doing.
Yeah. But Anchorman is interesting because Anchorman is shot in a way that it is just let's riff, right? You go out there, try something, we'll record it, and they just record, countless take after take after take, and not even, I wouldn't even call it full takes. I'm amazed that they are able to edit some of this in because when you watch the behind the scenes stuff, they start laughing immediately after they say a line that you can tell that's the version that got used in the actual movie, but it's snipped so perfectly that you would never even know that that's the case.
Yeah.
But you get to see that stuff. And I will argue probably some of the best behind the scenes and
outtakes.
And the outtakes.
Great.
Yeah.
And Christina Applegate puts in an amazing performance. And she matches Will Ferrell with the wit and just going off the cuff.
Yeah, there was one I found that was test footage of those two, and they're doing the, Stay Classy San Diego, where they're arguing.
Yeah, back and forth.
Yeah. The test footage of that even was like she can hold her own. She did a really good job with it.
And thanks for stopping by.
But mainly, stay classy.
But again, thanks for stopping by.
And stay classy.
Thanks
I'm
for
Ron
stopping by.
Burgundy. Stay classy.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Stopping by.
Ron Burgundy. It's classy.
Thanks for stopping by.
So Judd Apatow produces. I didn't know that. Doesn't feel like a Judd Apatow joint.
Not super.
It's an Adam McKay movie, right? Written and directed. It's Will Ferrell heavy because those two, Adam McKay and Will Ferrell, go on and create countless movies after this.
Yeah, not a lot of Seth Rogen screen time for a Judd Apatow movie.
Yeah, we're missing the cast that you would expect.
He was in the news. He was like a cameraman or something.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay,
He was
yeah.
the cameraman that was always with Christina Applegate's character.
Yeah. You're right. How did I just even black that completely out? But I will also add that the behind the scenes stuff and the outtakes really made this an experience once it came out on the DVD, because then they also do the unrated, uncut, uncalled for, which, Gabe, you just had the pleasure of watching the
uncalled for.
Yep.
So in last episode, we talked about Team America, and you had never seen the unrated version.
No, I'd never seen the marionetta dolls shitting and pissing on each other.
So there's a sex scene. There's a sex scene in Team America in which it's puppet sex and it's raunchy. But I remember we talked about this specifically. We were excited to watch the unedited version, and it did not disappoint. The puppets, actually piss and then take an actual dump
right on his eyes.
Right on his eyes. See, I said it was his face or his mouth.
Yeah.
I suppose puppets. The mouth ain't open, so
It was his eyes, and he can't blink.
And he can't blink. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, just an interesting time frame in which that stuff was a big hit. You started filming things specifically to put into the bonus stuff. And so I'm going to use that to go into the next movie. Are you guys okay with moving on from Anchorman?
Sure.
It's one of the best comedies around.
Great. Absolutely great.
Yeah.
Still holds up.
Yep.
Like you said about the just take after take after take after take, just like try this, say this. It's just riffing, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a great way to shoot comedy as well, because it's like be fearless, say whatever you want. And that's the best stuff, right? The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. And everyone immediately starts laughing and they just snip it and they use it. But you've actually got Adam McKay sitting back behind the camera saying, hey, say this. And then you just saying it. And there's a part to that allows for the actors then to just not be caught up in what they're actually saying. Right. It just becomes like a natural thing that flowed out.
Right. He's in character. He gets fed a line. He says the line.
And he just says the line and doesn't have time to process like how to oversay it, which I will talk about in one of these movies later on. There's a lot of lines that are being overly dramatically said, but there's just something really unique about that experience. So
I'm going to punch you in the ovary. That's what I'm going to do. A straight shot.
Ooh, ow.
Right to the baby maker.
Jazz flute is for little fairy boys.
Okay, you know what? That's uncalled for. I can't work with this woman.
Okay, I'm going to juxtapose that with the next movie on my list, which is also very DVD-centric. Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Okay.
So you think this is just about the burgers, huh? It's about far more than that. This night is about the American dream.
Who wants some brownies?
New Line Cinema presents That Asian Guy from American Pie.
Did Neil Patrick Harris just steal my car?
Yes.
And That Indian Guy from Van Wilder.
Thank God I found you. We have an emergency.
Do you happen to know how to get to the White Castle?
Yeah.
But why?
Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Well, since we're all here, how about a foursome?
Gabe, you had an opportunity to watch the wonderful DVD of Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, thank you for letting me borrow that. I hadn't seen it in probably 18 years.
Okay.
I didn't remember thinking it was all that great. But it holds up. It's a funny movie. It holds up with the caveat that it's 2004. I mean, the second scene, Harold gets home from work, walks into his apartment, and what's playing on the radio but the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh, really?
2004 Black Eyed Peas.
The original version.
It is in the soundtrack. It is the literal beginning of this movie.
Oh man, I'm so disappointed I didn't get to watch this one.
So we talked about that in the version 1 of 2004. The Black Eyed Peas have a song called Let's Get It Started. However, it is not called Let's Get It Started. And in 2004, it was not Let's Get It Started.
It was Let's Get It Our Word.
And yeah, I as soon as it started playing, I like started to like wring my hands. I was like, oh no, is this happening? Is it happening? So I'm so glad that you noticed that as well, because that was like the first, that is literally the first note that I have on this movie is let's get it started.
I want 30 sliders, 5 French fries, and 4 large cherry Cokes.
I want the same, except make mine Diet Cokes. Chuck.
How did you like the movie going back and watching it now? Because this is a stoner film. This is I would say, just a low budget buddy comedy. Would not get made now.
No.
Not a chance. And it is...
They just don't make comedies at all
anymore.
No,
they don't. But I believe this is the director of Dude, Where's My Car? He did not write it. It was 2 buddies that wrote it. But it is the director of Dude, Where's My Car? So it's...
at the end of the movie, when they get their car back, they say, dude, where's my car?
And they make a reference to it in the actual movie.
But it's an interesting movie because they're 2 great characters, 2 great actors. But it's so segmented, the movie. Like it could be like sketch comedy.
Yes.
Like these could all be separated, and each scene could just be its own bit that stands on its own.
Yeah, this is a formulaic comedy in that it is a road trip, right? So you got to take your beats along the way. Oh, we got to take a little detour here. And then once you take the detour, once you go off of the highway, now we're here. Okay, now we've gotten through this, now we're here.
And they get like 10 feet off the highway, and all of a sudden they're like in the middle of the woods. We'll never get back to the road again.
It's impossible. We will never make it back to civilization. Very similar to Without a Paddle in that kind of a similar set pieces idea. But this was more...
They had the cheetah instead of the bear.
Yeah. 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 This is more set pieces to, like you said, it's basically like we go bit to bit to bit to bit to bit. But funny, very well written for two guys that had never written anything.
Mm-hmm.
This was just the beginning of this. They actually have a credit that I think you guys would find very interesting. So everyone is aware that they had the Harold and Kumar series, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, Harold and Kumar, Guantanamo Bay, I think is the next one. And that, yeah. That's a great follow-up, at least in premise. And then the Christmas special, which is actually really good.
I'd never seen that one.
The Christmas special is really good.
Isn't that 3D?
Yeah.
Dave loves 3D.
Yeah. So.
But they actually were writer and one of the 8 creators of the TV show Cobra Kai. Yeah. So I wondered what they were doing and where they ended up. And yeah, they got involved and there was 8 creators. So
okay.
But yeah, Cobra Kai, and they were heavily involved in that, which is just a weird progression in your career.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I looked it up after the movie, how far away from home were they? So I looked they traveled 70 miles.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And in 2004, at the time of the making of the movie, 70 miles, they passed 27 White Castles. And ended up at a White Castle that didn't even exist.
Oh, man. That's actually fantastic. So they're on the East Coast, too. White Castle's pretty East Coast centric.
Right. And they were in New York and New Jersey. I mean, it's pretty densely populated, even though they spent half the movie in the woods.
Yeah, it is interesting that they get off the beaten path. And like you said, immediately we're in the wilderness of Connecticut. The one thing that I want to say about the DVD specifically is this was the first DVD that I was aware of that had the thing before you pressed play.
Mm-hmm.
They had the elongated conversation.
Oh, yeah.
So they're driving in the car basically talking shit about how you're not pressing play.
Sure.
And it isn't a full one clip. It's 5 clips that then kind of cycle through. But they're basically saying why isn't he pushing play?
Mm-hmm. We're still on the menu.
What? Just it's right there, dude. Just
there's
push it.
4 options.
Yeah. I was probably partaking in some herbal supplements at the time when I put this DVD in.
Echinacea?
And watched it. And then I remember specifically the movie getting over, doing what you do, which is the TV's on, all the lights are off. You just let it sit, and it got back to the menu, and then coming back and them talking shit about me not pressing play. And not going to lie,
got to you.
Blew my fucking mind. What is happening right now? What is happening?
So what do we do now?
I don't know. I guess we just wait for them to pick an option, and then we take them back.
Okay.
So yeah, this is an interesting step in that DVD process because that then goes on to, I believe it's Superbad that had, when they got to the Blu-ray, he actually dances for an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Michael Cera, they just put the camera on Michael Cera and he just dances for an entire hour, and they just recorded it, and they're like, we have enough storage now to just put this on the DVD. So the menu is just him dancing forever. But I would say this is at least the first time I was aware of someone doing something like that. Yeah, which is just again, it's so unique to the medium. You can't have that when you're on the menus you could, I guess, but you don't have that experience. Yeah. The other thing that's on this DVD is a couple behind the scenes things.
There's a 10-minute documentary on sound engineering.
Yes.
So it starts out with they hire the sound guy for the movie, and he wasn't sure if he was the right fit because there's one scene where 2 people get diarrhea.
Yes, not just 2 people, 2 hot chicks.
Battle shots.
And they play battle shots. But he wanted to get the sound just right. So he went to truck stops and went to grubby restaurants and put microphones under the stalls as other people were shooting to get just the right sound. He finally got it all put together, and he shows the director. And the director says, no, this is all wrong. That doesn't sound right. these people don't have diarrhea. They have the taco shots. It's a completely different sound.
So this is the type of content you have in the behind the scenes. They actually they wrote and shot a mockumentary essentially.
With the actual director and sound guy too.
Yeah. To just fill in for the DVD.
Yeah, why the hell not?
Yeah. And I will say, because the next movie we're going to talk about as well does something very similar, which I think is great. It's just such an interesting time in terms of like the consumption of a movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
The movie started off with you going to a theater. There's not even sound. There's a guy playing the piano,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then eventually you get the talkies.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just 2004 is an interesting time in movies because it's such its own unique little thing. Last thing I want to say before we're done on Harold and Kumar, one, go watch it. It's a lot of fun. It's a little inappropriate now with some stuff, but everything is.
Mm-hmm. It's got the homophobia.
Yeah.
It's got the R words. It's got that type of stuff.
Yep.
You know,
but the characters themselves are supposed to be, they're actually being tent poles for the actual racist comedy, right?
Mm-hmm.
The character themselves is supposed to be like a pillar that's shining through it.
They're the good guys fighting against the extremists.
Yes, which is fun. I also did not remember that there's a famous Ryan Reynolds meme.
Is that the but why?
But why?
Yes.
I thought that was from
Van Wilder.
Van Wilder. It is not. So when he showed up in this movie, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's where it's from. Totally forgot. That shows up in my life more often than most things.
Yeah.
And it happens to be from this movie. So it is worth shouting out.
Marijuana? But why?
We don't have time for questions. We need marijuana now, as much of it as possible.
Like a big bag of it.
Final thoughts on Harold and Kumar.
I got to say, the actor, I forget his name, who played Freak Show.
Mm-hmm.
Only in the movie for a few minutes, but does such an amazing job. Just so funny. And I learned in the behind the scenes stuff, he didn't know the character was going to be a Jesus freak initially. So when he showed up to work, showed up on set, they showed him the updated script, and he, in a couple hours, wrote all of those Jesus songs that he sang in the movie just in his own head.
No, he didn't.
Yes.
That's crazy. How is that even possible?
And he did it with a straight face the whole time. Just an amazing little few-minute performance in a movie.
What's really funny is he looks like Jamie Kennedy in makeup.
I thought it was Chris Elliott at first.
And he does look like Chris Elliott as well. He is actually, it's the Law and Order guy.
Oh, holy shit. The mean cop. The mean Law and Order guy. Christopher Meloni.
Excellent job.
Oh, yeah. Crazy role. Highly recommend it. Check it out. It's a great flick.
Damn, that hit the spot.
That was the best meal of my life.
Mine too.
In the same vein is the movie EuroTrip.
Sure.
I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on EuroTrip other than to say way better than it should be.
Was it written by the road trip guys?
No, the head writer is known for Seinfeld.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. The Dictator. Silicon Valley. Barry.
Barry. Wow.
A lot of HBO. It looks like a lot of HBO there. And Alec Berg is hilarious, dude. That's crazy. It's crazy when a movie like this gets made because it seems like just a throwaway, like you're saying. It's really bad title because it feels like it's just a part of Senior Trip. It feels like it's a part of Road Trip.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not. It's so much better than those movies. But also, we would be amiss if we did not say Scotty doesn't know.
Yeah.
Scotty doesn't know that Fiona and me do it in my van every Sunday. She tells him she's in church, but she doesn't go. Still, she's on her knees.
I will say this last like year and a half or 2 years has probably been the longest I have gone in my entire life since this movie came out without having somebody shout that at me.
That is interesting.
It's just a part of my life now, just because my name is Scott.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Brad Simpson, in the kitchen every day. Scotty, do you know?
Oh, that's stupid.
No, Scotty doesn't know.
Brad, no bueno.
I did her on his birthday. Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know. Don't say Scotty. Scotty doesn't know.
But honestly, just an interesting film that, again, is way better than it should be. It's not awesome, but it's funny. It's very funny. And the Scotty Doesn't Know song is, again, way better than it should be.
It's a legit good song.
Yeah, it's a legit good song that you then got Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon's all over the place right now for this with the, obviously, Matt Damon in Team America and now in here, but also just talking about DVDs in general. He had that big monologue conversation on Hot Ones a couple years ago about talking about how the movie industry has completely changed because you don't get that second revenue stream of DVD sales.
And it all came from his role as Donnie in the movie EuroTrip. Highly recommend it. I honestly, I haven't went back and watched it in a long time, but I always tell people, like, this is a movie that is way better than it should be. So, okay, let's keep rolling and let's move on from that there. We're going to stick with one more comedy real quick. Will you guys entertain one more comedy?
Yes.
Can't dodge it.
The movie Dodgeball.
Dodgeball! There are those who are born to be champions.
Here at Globo Gym, we're better than you, and we know it.
And then there are these guys.
You've got 30 days to make $50,000, or your gym becomes my gym.
This summer,
We will rock you.
grab life by the ball.
You can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
What?
Colon.
An underdog story, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. It was originally just going to be called Underdog.
Oh, yeah.
Good change. Good change.
Yeah, definitely a good change. So we talked about Anchorman. Anchorman is peak Will Ferrell. Dodgeball is peak Vince Vaughn.
This is my favorite Vince Vaughn role. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a perfect role for who he is as an individual.
Actually, I love Vince Vaughn's role in Anchorman.
Yes.
Betsy Mansfield is a saint.
Yeah. Dorothy Mantooth.
Dorothy. Yeah, Mantooth. Miss both.
I'm just saying words. Dodgeball is produced by Ben Stiller. His company got the script from the director, which is Rossen Thurber. I'm not super familiar with, or hadn't been super familiar with this individual. First time writing a movie, first time directing a movie. They pick it up. Vince Vaughn is the guy they want. Ben Stiller's going to be in the movie. You know, why the hell not if you're going to produce it? And then Ben Stiller's wife is going to play the lead female role as well in this movie. Once you've got that trio together, you're pretty well set.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be funny.
Yeah. What I really like about this is they continually on the extras from the DVD talk about the comedy zone. That's the face and the nuts.
Yeah.
If you throw a dodgeball and hit somebody in the shoulder, it is not funny. So it's constantly hitting people in the face and the nuts. I wanted to go through and just count up how many times someone gets hit in the face or the nuts in this film. It's got to be just astronomical because the majority of those hits then end up being that. But let's talk about it. Give me your rundown on the movie Dodgeball.
I mean, just the whole thing?
Oh, whatever you got for me.
It's near the end of the movie. It's peak stereotyping, which I love. It's just every team is just you're either against the Germans or the hip hop stars.
Yep. Yeah, the only movie that does it better is Basketball.
Yeah.
You're just straight up racist. But yeah, but that's, again, typical 2004. That's how you do
But it makes
that.
you think, what would the teams be nowadays?
Oh, okay.
You'd have the MAGAs versus the LGBTQI plus.
It's the climate changers.
The anti-vaxxers versus
the vegans. You definitely have a vegan team.
Bicycle riders.
Still have the bicycle helmet on and the gloves. They're always wearing the gloves too. If you got the bicycle helmet, you got to have the gloves. Yeah, that's an interesting one. Yeah, they throw the police in there as well. Just to, and depending on who's making the movie, that team would be wildly different. Yeah, it's a very interesting film in that these are three comedies that are very similar and yet very different. The Harold and Kumar feels like a low budget film that just two guys wrote this script and it just hits the set pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Anchorman is, you can tell, very much riff, because it's very much dialogue centric to the humor.
Yeah.
You know, like a situation where two guys are in an office riffing at each other is wildly different than what happens in Dodgeball, which is almost like more large set pieces and large gags.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think one of the best parts of this movie is that they kind of set you up in multiple times throughout the movie for these big payoff gags that end up coming through. The Chuck Norris stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff along those lines. But it also does a good job of being a sports movie, building kind of like a road trip type of thing where we're going from...
It's got the Kingpin vibe to it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. At first we're playing in a gymnasium that has a stage in it, you know, like run down, dusty old gymnasium, and then building our way to the Ocho.
Yeah.
But very good. And
I believe also in Las Vegas, right?
In Las Vegas, yeah. So there's a road trip quality to it as well. But also, Ben Stiller's character in this is hilarious. It is 100% Tony Perkins from the movie Heavyweights.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which, fun fact,
Judd Apatow worked on?
written by
Okay.
Judd Apatow. So, and Ben Stiller has said that, right? He has said, I don't have a lot of range. It's the same guy. But it's a great character for Ben Stiller.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts? Let's go.
You know, I would say is maybe my favorite Ben Stiller role too.
Okay.
In this movie, like I was never a big Ben Stiller fan because some of his stuff is just so obnoxious.
Yeah.
But like when I watched this movie, I was like, I get it.
Yeah.
I finally get it. Ben Stiller is just that.
Yeah.
And I'll take it.
Yeah, Ben Stiller's an interesting one because you know now you know that his father is the dad on Seinfeld, right? We didn't know that because we were too young. You know, other people probably knew of, what is it, Jerry Seinfeld, or Jerry Stiller. So there's a bit of nepotism to it, right? He probably got thrust a little bit further into the showbiz world than he probably had credit for. I think there's a lot of Ben Stiller stuff that is not so fantastic. I think there's a lot of it actually, and I was in the same camp as you. I was not a huge Ben Stiller fan. There were people that loved Zoolander. I did not like Zoolander. I was never big into Zoolander. I wasn't big into almost any of his stuff, like Along Came Polly, like stuff like that. Like there's some real turds that Ben Stiller had, and I will agree as well that I was kind of okay. But Tony Perkins is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what his name is.
Walt Goodman.
Walt Goodman, yeah. Great story, though. You've got your Vince Vaughn, a little too lazy. Car won't even start. Just the great
Doesn't
tropes.
pay his bills, doesn't care.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fun fact, at the beginning when his car is getting pushed, it's just a happy accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that just happened that day.
There was just a car being pushed?
He was supposed to drive around the corner, and the car wouldn't start, so they had to push it.
It's a great beginning to a movie. It sets it up very well. And then, of course, the Walt Goodman across the street has the global gym. And there's just some good, solid gags that comes out of that. Again, it's very much the same character, even in that, like Tony Perkins in Heavyweights is the fat dude that got skinny. And it's the same thing here, right? The fat dude that got skinny and then is electrocuting himself so he doesn't eat the donut. Those are great bits. Those are great bits. I will say, of everyone in this film, Justin Long is the high point of this movie. Justin Long is fantastic. And he's had some pretty good little conversations about the stuff that happened in the movie as well. The pitching machine.
Yeah. Was it 80 miles an hour they were shooting these dodgeballs at him?
Man.
So he went on, I think it was Rich Eisen's podcast like 5 years ago or something. And he was telling the story about how, they got to get the shots. So it's just 20 minutes of him just getting pelted with a dodgeball, and they're going for the comedy zones. So it's all head and face. And he's like, man, it's turned up a little bit. It's going kind of fast. And he gets done, and then Vince Vaughn comes in to shoot his stuff. And Justin Long does the greatest Vince Vaughn impersonation where he's just like, it's too fast. What are we doing?
Vince Vaughn had to shoot his stuff next, and it hit him in the chest, and it came off really hard, and he goes, what's going on? That's way too hard. That's going way too fast. And he got really upset. And it was such a proud moment for me because the whole crew was like, Justin's been getting pummeled in the head for the last 20 minutes. You gotta turn that down a little bit. Somebody's going to get hurt. I love me telling you.
And it's interesting because now Vince Vaughn has actually come on record and said that's absolutely what happened.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, Justin Long was just getting pelted for 20 minutes.
Oh, man.
And Vince Vaughn got hit once and was like, the fuck is happening? This is a fucking movie. What are we doing? Which I would love to see the footage of that because you can, you know exactly how that went with Vince Vaughn.
I go, guys, this is crazy. Like, no one's going to be able to tell if the thing's going 80 miles an hour or 60 miles an hour or 40. I said, you got to tone this thing down. Like, this is dangerous. Only to come to find out that the great Justin Long had already been there for an hour getting hit by this machine at full speed multiple times.
Justin Long, great role in that movie. Really slapsticky in his role. I think he does very well. Other actors in the movie as well, I thought, really kind of step up and do a very nice job as well. Because it's they do the eclectic cast. Right.
One of them's a fucking pirate.
I was just waiting for it. One's actually a fucking pirate.
Hey, it's Steve the pirate.
And there's some good pirate jokes too. Yeah. I put this DVD in, and I'm going to say that this is now officially my favorite DVD extras of any film.
I own the unrated version.
Okay.
But when I went to pop it in, I found that I only own the box of the unrated version. The DVD has been long gone.
So, Scott, you said that you watched some of the commentary.
Just right before I came over here,
Yep.
I just popped it on like first 10, 15 minutes. That's where I learned about the car.
Yep.
And that Justin Long, Vince Vaughn, and Ben Stiller, all three of those characters were specifically written for those three people because the writer had just seen Galaxy Quest.
Okay.
And that's where he picked Justin Long out of.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And way to get yourself a huge role by just being good at your small little part of a movie. So the DVD commentary for Dodgeball, Ben Stiller, Vince Vaughn, and our director, Rawson, sit down and start doing a commentary. And I was listening to it as well. And I was doing what I typically do. I turn it on, the movie's on, I'm doing other things. Immediately my ADD starts kind of going through the roof a little bit. So Vince Vaughn is eating chips the whole flipping time. Ben Stiller comes in late and keeps talking about how he doesn't want his car to get stolen. Can they send a valet out to move his car, check on his car? I'm just worried about my car. Can somebody?
That's got to be a bit.
Halfway through, they just leave and stop doing the DVD commentary. And so the sound engineers turn on the DVD commentary to There's Something About Mary. And the rest of the commentary is for the movie There's Something About Mary.
Does it fit?
No. It doesn't fit at all. You want to talk about an experience where you're just kind of paying attention to something, like my ADD is just firing, and I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then they just get up and leave. And then there's like a fumbling kind of blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden you hear the Fairley brothers come on and introduce themselves. And they're just like, we're going to start talking about the film. And I'm like, what is happening?
Why?
What is happening?
I'm coming out. Helen?
Yeah, Ben.
Do I have to go now? Yes. Do I have to go now?
Yeah, they're going to tow your car.
Thank you, guys. Okay. I'm just going to... Okay, thank you very much. You're going... No. I got to get going. Can you guys... You know what?
Wait, guys, don't go. Don't leave.
Can somebody clean up this for Scotty?
What are we going to do?
I don't know. We have a movie full of...
I mean, this is like what...
Vince jacking himself off and eating chips. We'll just pad it out. We're not going to get fired. Nobody listens to these commentaries anyway.
I never have.
How you doing? This is Peter Farrelly and Bobby Farrelly. And we're going to walk you through the movie. We are the co-directors.
Prior to that, I was on the DVD menu and I was going through, okay, let's see what's in here. So there's an alternative ending, okay? The alternative ending to this film is, you know, we did a bummer remix ending. That's what the original ending was going to be. And they just shoot and cut it so that Average Joe loses. There's a celebration happening from Ben Stiller and his crew. The other group is disappointed and then immediately cuts to the credits. And so I'm like, well, that's a little weird. That's kind of a weird thing. It's like, oh, there's a director's commentary for this as well. So I turn that on, and it's the director talking about, this is what we wanted the end of the movie to be. We wanted it to be that it was just, you know,
the underdogs lose.
The underdogs lose, and it's a bummer story. And he confirms that that's the case. And I said, bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit. There's no way. But there's nothing in the menu or anything that tells you that that's the case. Well, then I watched the commentary, and that happened. I was like, okay, so they're just fucking with us. The entire DVD bonuses is just them fucking with you. But if you watch enough of it, Ben Stiller actually says, when he's in his fat suit, when I snap my fingers, I think it is, you click the button, and that takes you to an actual DVD commentary from the director.
Okay.
So if you are just looking at the bonus features from this DVD, nothing of it is of any interest at all. However, because they just decided in 2004, hey, everyone's been doing this, it's all f***ed out, let's just mess with it. They made, I will argue, the best DVD bonus features of all time.
I wish I owned it.
That's some Eternal Darkness shit.
It's pretty cool. I absolutely love that that's the case. And it was one of those experiences where, like, I watched it and I was like, well, that's interesting. We could talk about that on the podcast. And then I saw the footage and I was like, there's no way. There's no way that's the ending you were going to do. And he actually says, I was good. I walked off. I quit the movie and they talked me back into it. And I was like, bullshit. Yeah. Like this whole thing, I was like, this is all bullshit.
But why wouldn't that be the last scene? Would you want to see like Globo Jim tearing down Joe's or something?
It's so in the movie, spoiler alert, in the movie, there's the part where you think that they've lost and there's the foot penalty or whatever it is, right? So it's that whole sequence and then just an abrupt scroll of the credits. So it's very clear, like when you watch it. It
wasn't even a different shot.
No, it's the same stuff. And they play it off that this is what we shot. And then we came back and shot the rest of the stuff. Like we did reshoots. But of course, if you know anything about movies, there's no fucking way. There's no way you came back and reshot the rest of that.
Yeah.
But I will argue that again, one of those things where it's just like, I'm going to look this up. I'm going to see if there's any cool stuff on here. I'm going to see if there's anything we can talk about on the podcast. I watched that. I cried bullshit.
Well, good, because if I would have watched that, I would have been like, you guys know what? They were supposed to lose.
This is the ending that I thought was artistically the right way to go. You know, really fought for this and you know, actually left the movie for a week because of it. And ultimately Ben and Stuart, the producers, talked me back. But I still think this is the right way to end the movie without question.
I will say it's absolutely fantastic. The other thing I will add is that the Ben Stiller stuff with him in the fat suit, that was a extra shoot that they did. So the movie was done. They brought Ben Stiller back and had him do the stuff in the fat suit. And it's such a great little addition to the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. The last line in the movie.
Yes.
Chuck Norris. It's great.
Says everything you need to know. All right, let's move out of comedies. Let's wrap this episode up. I've got a couple of films I want to talk about. Now we're going to get a little bit more serious.
Mm-hmm.
This is a top 3 movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
Standing ovation worthy?
No.
Ooh.
Not standing ovation
No,
worthy.
this is more movie ends and you sit for 10 minutes, deep introspection.
Yes.
You do the exact opposite of a standing ovation. You sink.
Sitting cetacean. This is the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Too many guys think I'm a concept, or I complete them, or I'm gonna make them alive. But I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind. Don't assign me yours.
I remember that speech really well.
I had you pegged, didn't I?
Yeah, the whole human race pegged.
Probably.
I still thought you were going to save my life. Even after that.
I know.
It would be different. If we could just give it another go around.
Remember me. Try your best. Maybe we can.
So you guys indulge me for just a minute.
Of course. It's a great movie. I haven't seen it in 20 years, but it's a great movie.
Fantastic movie. Never seen it.
Hate you sometimes. I'm irritated with you that you've never seen it because this is written by Andy Kaufman. This is the best Andy Kaufman movie.
Surprised I didn't know that.
Directed by Michael Gondry, who goes on to do a couple films, Be Kind, Rewind. Oddly enough, I think that's in 2006 or 2008. And then another one I'm forgetting is something about sleep. I forget what it is. Both of which I was not as thrilled by as this movie. This movie is, I think, a perfect movie. Okay. There are 3 films that I have as my top 3 movies. There is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is a weird one that I really enjoy. Then there is The Big Lebowski.
Okay.
And then my third, and in no order, is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Anyone that's familiar with Andy Kaufman, we've talked about it previously on the podcast. You get your adaptation. You get your...
Which the best Nicolas Cage movie.
Number 1 pick.
He's just an eccentric writer that writes these crazy things, being John Malkovich. But this one it's a story of a guy and a girl that meet. They have a relationship. The relationship goes south. And then he finds out that she has erased him from her memory. He then decides, I would also like to erase her from my memory. So he goes in and has this procedure done, which they actually do in his house. So you go in, they put this thing on you. They are going to go in and with a computer, they're going to delete these memories from your head. And so the movie is him inside his own brain having these moments deleted as he's remembering them. Because they're telling him to remember them so we can delete them. And so it's such a bizarre experience of watching someone go through things. And it's like, oh, that's why I hated that. That was a terrible moment in my life, you know? And then eventually he realizes he doesn't want to forget this stuff. And so it's him inside his brain with his version of this individual that he's trying to delete, trying to escape the process of having it all be deleted. It's trippy. It's bizarre. There's scenes where she enters in moments in parts of his memory that she shouldn't be because they're trying to escape within his brain. And it just does this great compounding of effects and compounding of situations. It is what movies should be. You could not tell this in another medium, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it's a very visual thing that you would have to experience. I absolutely love it. It is Ace Ventura,
yes,
of all people. You would think Jim Carrey would not be great in this, unless you've seen, of course, The Truman Show.
Right.
Very serious.
Very serious. But it's just a fantastic story. It's very well acted. It's melodramatic, but at the same time, it's like this idea of kind of fate and your path in life, but then also like who we are is built up of the things that have happened along the way. And so it's just a very interesting film. It's a very some people say, I've heard a lot of people online because I was reading people's comments on this. A lot of people don't think it's rewatchable, and I completely disagree. I don't think this is a movie where the ending is the end all be all, right? It is the process of the consuming of the entire story. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Well, when I finish The Godfather, I'll check it out.
You're such a dick. This is a top 3 movie for me, Gabe. This is not like, hey, I kind of like this movie. This is like, I literally think this is a perfect movie.
No, I love Kaufman. I think I'll go watch it now. I didn't watch it 20 years ago because I think the name sucks. And it's not interesting at all.
So funny thing about the name is that is not what Andy Kaufman wanted to call it. Andy Kaufman wanted it to have an 18-word title so that it wouldn't fit on a marquee, so that you couldn't have it. You couldn't actually sell the movie, which is, again, that's why I love Andy Kaufman.
Do we know what those 18 words were?
I didn't look it up. That's too much work. It's 18 words? Come on.
I wouldn't remember it anyway.
Yeah, and it's a cool combination. Him and the director, just a cool fitting for the two, right? That Andy Kaufman's style of writing and this guy's style of filmmaking. It's interesting, though, that I read that the director refused to use anything other than available light. And they used wheelchairs for the dollies anytime they were like rolling the camera and stuff. Yeah. And
was it low budget?
Well, the camera was always running as well. So it couldn't have been that low budget. And the effects you couldn't do on a super low budget either. So I think it's an interesting example of someone getting the reins to a movie. And I doubt that this movie did great in terms of box office. But it is, in terms of, critics and audiences, just a beloved movie.
Wasn't a lot of the effects just like kind of forced perspective stuff?
A lot of it, yeah. But there is, like at the end, there's the house getting torn apart. And when you get really close to the end and the world is disintegrating,
sure.
There's some really interesting stuff in there that had to have been expensive in 2004.
So they spent $20 million, made 74.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no, I did better than I thought it would have.
But Andy Kaufman was the stand-up comedian from the 70s. This is Charlie Kaufman.
Did I write Andy Kaufman?
Was it Andy Kaufman?
Did I say Andy Kaufman?
A character that Jim Carrey played?
Yeah, you did.
A very serious role.
Charlie Kaufman. Did I say Andy Kaufman? I definitely wrote Andy Kaufman down here. So it's Charlie Kaufman. Charlie Kaufman is the one that did adaptation.
That must be why he picked Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
He did a great job portraying me.
All wrapped up. It's all wrapped up in one.
He played me very well. When was that movie? What was it? Man on the Moon or
Man
something?
on the Moon, yeah. It's probably right around that time. I think it was after this. Could have been right before, but I think it's after it. Yeah, this
99.
is 99, yeah, okay. Our sister named her daughter Clementine.
I didn't realize that was the character's name in this movie.
That is the character of Kate Winslet, which might not even be her name. I'm just going to
his
call
darling was
I'm
Clementine?
I'm just going to call them by their actual characters. That's why I had said Ace Ventura earlier, because I couldn't remember fucking Jim Carrey's name. So.
Maybe in Montauk.
All right, let's move on. I have one more film, and then we'll go ahead and get out of here. This is Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've killed a hell of a lot of people to get to this point. I went on what the movie advertisements refer to as a roaring rampage of revenge. I roared, and I rampaged, and I got bloody satisfaction.
You've got to start becoming afraid of her, because she is coming.
And when I arrive at my destination, I am gonna kill Bill.
What are you guys' thoughts on Kill Bill Volume 2?
It is way campier than I remember it being. Way campier.
Okay.
It was like watching a comic book.
Yeah.
When it came out, people were excited to see it.
Yes.
And half of the people thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And the other half said, what happened to all the action from Kill Bill Volume 1? I was in the latter camp. I like the action.
I appreciate that you say that, Gabe, because I did not like this movie when it came out. I watched it on DVD. I did not like this movie when I watched it on DVD. This is the third time I've seen this movie. I love Tarantino. I celebrate Tarantino and have watched countless times most of his movies. The first movie I watched with my fiance when we met was Jackie Brown, because that was my way of figuring out if this chick can stick around or not. If you don't like Jackie Brown, we can't hang out.
Yeah.
So let's watch Jackie Brown. This is the third time. 20 years later, I've now consumed this for only the third time. I do not like this movie. I will actually come out and say, not only do I think it is not as good as Kill Bill Volume 1, I think it's boring.
And they shot him at the same time.
Yes.
How do you go from that to this?
Yes. So there's probably 1,000 people out there that absolutely hate us right now. And I don't like to talk about especially popular movies, because all you do is just alienate your audience.
Yeah.
But I tried. This was an experience where I was like, I'm going to go into this with just a clean slate, having just watched Kill Bill Volume 1 again, which is the only problem, and loving it again. Again, let's remember, I applauded Kill Bill Volume 1 when it ended. I went into this knowing, okay, it's not the same as Kill Bill Volume 1, but let's like watch it start to finish on its own merits, and let's consume it in terms of what it is. And it's a snooze fest. It's so boring. And in the dialogue that's in it, he writes typical dialogue that he writes, but it's super campy.
Super campy. And just like the way he directs the people to read the lines is like, what am I watching?
So what would be your best example of that? Because I know which one I
just right out the gate. Uma Thurman's little monologue in the car. Like right out the gate. I was like, what? Why are you talking like that?
Yep. This is how we started this movie. There is a version of this, I think he calls it The Whole Bloody Thing, which you can watch the 4-hour 2 films put together. I would love to see what he does with that, because the part of Kill Bill Volume 1 that I love is the end and how they take all these pieces and do the cliffhanger, but it just builds with the way the music is playing, the way it swells, the way that they're introducing little bits at the end. And one of the coolest parts is Michael Madsen's character, where he, has got a profile to the camera.
Oh, yeah.
And he's, that woman deserves her revenge. And then he scrunches his face a bunch and does 14 things with his face that you don't need to do. Deserve to die. In Kill Bill Volume 1, that's fucking sweet. It's like a cool little thing with the music swelling and his face is all scrunchy and it's from the side and it's probably black and white in my head. In Kill Bill Volume 2, they replay that segment and he does the same thing. And then the next shot is a facing him shot where he just like goes, yeah, but she deserves to die too.
So does she.
Still kill her.
That is exactly how I feel about this movie. It's like something cool, and then you just surrounded it with pieces that it's not even interesting. Like that dialogue to follow up that cool segment that we've already seen before is not something, it didn't add to it. I would actually say greatly detracts from it.
I would guess most people going to see Kill Bill Volume 2 have already seen that scene.
Yes. So you've seen the cool part of it. And that, again, it'd be interesting to see how this would have played if it was just the one film, because that's what he wanted to do initially. I was put off by this is a different genre film than the first one. The first one is very kung fu oriented, very Asian, a little bit of blaxploitation in there. But it even starts off with the Shaw Brothers logo that he's done in some of his other films now as well. That film studio from, these kung fu movies. It also has RZA.
Yes.
That does the soundtrack. RZA ain't back.
No.
RZA ain't back. And I would argue that's my biggest problem with this movie. You went from a really hip, cool soundtrack with like these undertones of some really funky things to Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah. I kind of feel like Tarantino was hanging out with him too much around this time.
Scott, you have nailed it directly on the head. I think that is exactly what happened with Kill Bill Volume 2.
Did Robert Rodriguez do Sin City?
Did he end up doing it? You look it up.
Because
I think
there's
he
a lot of Sin City in this movie.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez in 2004 released Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which is part of the El Mariachi trilogy, the Mariachi trilogy.
Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller.
Okay, I knew it was Frank Miller, but Frank Miller's the
but he's also credited as the director.
Yeah, Frank Miller is. Oh, interesting. Once Upon a Time in Mexico is the third film in Robert Rodriguez's Mariachi trilogy. There's El Mariachi, which I had not seen until later on. And actually right before it, Once Upon a Time in Mexico is going to come out. Then there's Desperado.
That's the Banderas movie?
Yeah, Desperado, which is basically a retelling of El Mariachi, a higher budget version of it, which is an awesome movie. I loved it. We used to watch that film all the time. Then I went to film school, and then this was coming out, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and we were all excited. Well, this is going to be sweet. And then I watched Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and I thought, it's just something wrong with the way he directs movies. There's something wrong with it. I think you're absolutely correct. I think that's what happened with Kill Bill Volume 2. I think Tarantino was hanging out way too much with Robert Rodriguez, and you can see the effects. It just got absorbed into Tarantino.
Because was it Robert Rodriguez that they did Grindhouse together?
Yes, afterwards, yes.
Yeah.
So
they were super buddy, and it...
But they filmed both volumes in 155 days.
Yes. And then
how does it change so much?
Because the editing. You can take a film and edit it in any way. So if you've got a different style of
they were
soundtrack,
only released like 6 months apart.
No, they were. It was like almost 18 months. It was quite a bit.
Was it?
Yeah, it was quite a bit. It was because he was supposed to release it, I think, for Christmas of the one year, and then it didn't come out until like April. So it got pushed back like another 5 months or so.
What's happening to Costner's movie right now?
Yeah, which is never a good sign. It's never a good sign. I love Kill Bill Volume 1. The Kung Fu stuff is cool. Kung Fu stuff in this is cool too. There's a couple cool Kung Fu things. Actually, one of the cool things that I read about this film is that there are multiple characters that end up playing the same or end up playing two different roles, one in each film. So one of them was actually the guy that does the Crazy 88s. So the guy with the mask in the Crazy 88s, you know which one I'm talking about in Volume 1? You know which guy I'm talking about?
I'm just going to say yes, just because.
Just so we can move on.
Does it matter?
So I didn't write down what his first name is, but it's Gordon. He plays the guy with the mask in the first one in the Crazy 88s, and then he plays Pai Mi, which is a actual character in Kung Fu movies. And this guy had actually fought against Pai Mi in some of his Kung Fu movies, and then now is playing that role. So there's like some cool stuff that's happening in there. But yeah, it's just once you get to the spaghetti Western stuff, it's slow, it's boring. And spaghetti Westerns aren't boring. They were
gunfights.
They were gunfights. And this is a lot of dialogue. And it's trying to be way too clever, way too often.
One thing I learned reading up about the movie, when they were filming down in Mexico, almost done shooting, they have the shot with the bride driving down the road in a car. Well, the car was like a manual transmission, and she didn't know how to drive it, so they switched it up, made it an automatic transmission, adjusted the steering wheel, put a bunch of shit on the car, and told her to drive it. She said, I'm not comfortable driving that.
Yes.
And they said, get in the fucking car and drive it.
Yeah.
So she did. And the car broke, went off the road, ran into a palm tree, and Uma Thurman's been up ever since.
Yeah, and it actually ruined their relationship. So if you remember this in this film, even it says, based on The Bride by Q and you, this was their concept that they came up with when they were shooting Pulp Fiction. And yeah, the last scene that she shot, and maybe there were more that she was gonna shoot, but after you almost die in a car accident,
yeah, you're done shooting.
Yeah.
But she has changed her tone in recent years and just blames Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, well.
Blames the production company, blames Miramax, not so much Quentin anymore.
Okay. No, and maybe rightfully so. Yeah, I'm actually surprised that your take is so similar to mine on this film. I remember being so disappointed by this movie and then waiting because I thought it was like an Anchorman type of thing.
Yeah.
I was like, we'll wait and we'll watch the DVD. And then actually not enjoying it and being like, I don't need to ever watch that again. So here we are in the Be Kind Rewind. It's like, this is a perfect time to go back 20 years later and watch this film. And I was bored out of my mind. I think that it is a boring take. I think that it takes everything that's cool about the first one and just waters it down. It is not nearly as interesting in terms of the fights that happen. There's a couple big fights, but they're not nearly as interesting.
Right.
And I don't think that it is a great arc to the character, right?
It's not, but it is a good ending.
It's a good ending.
She gets her revenge. She reunites with her daughter.
Yeah. It's just poorly shot, I think. I didn't think that part was very interesting.
Even the 5-finger death.
I mean, you knew that was coming. Listen, there's a much better version of that, and it's called the movie Hot Rod. It's a way better version of it. That's how the movie should have ended. You want to talk about roll the credits? You shit his pants and you roll the credits.
Yep.
That's how that goes. It's okay. It's not a terrible movie. It's just in terms of what it should be.
Yeah.
And in terms of my interests, I don't like it.
And being volume 2 on a volume 1 that was so much better.
Yeah. Pretty much the same idea.
Just continue the story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Did you know that this has a higher user rating or audience rating than Kill Bill Volume 1?
I did not know that. I
am amazed by that. I thought for sure that this would have a much lower score, but they're both in the 8s. But Kill Bill Volume 2 specifically so Volume 1 on Rotten Tomatoes is like an 8.85, I think. Kill Bill Volume 2 on Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score is an 89.
Ooh. It is the better film.
Yep. We are wrong.
How? I don't get it. I don't know.
Closure, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. People like it. I don't know. I guess maybe that's more people's cup of tea. I mean, honestly, like I just talked about how I like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. That's not an action movie. That's not a fast-moving movie by any. The dude's literally laying in bed the whole time. I don't know. There's just so much weird about it. And I honestly, once I learned the Robert Rodriguez score of it, that was like, okay, because that's the we've talked about it, right? It's the soundtrack, right? The soundtrack of our lives. The soundtrack of your movie is a huge difference between RZA doing kung fu homages to Rodriguez literally writing a song.
Yeah, the RZA also, he did the soundtrack for the anime Afro Samurai, which was super good.
Yeah.
The music anyways. The show itself was awesome when I was younger.
Yeah.
I tried to watch it couple years ago. It was like, not so much.
All right, let's walk out of here on the year 2004. Gabe Johnson, final thoughts, 2004 in general, but movies as well.
In general, mixed year, good killdozers, but the movies are just fantastic. This might be the best year of film as far as I'm concerned, because I like comedies, and we just got a load of those, and it's good stuff. I don't think there was really any great films that year besides Eternal.
I mean, what are you talking about? EuroTrip is a great film. Anchorman is a great film. Dodgeball is a great film. Harold and Kumar is a very good film. Okay, maybe not a very good film, but it's super enjoyable. Scott, what are your final thoughts?
There's a scene in the movie Sin City.
Okay.
Where, what's the guy's name? Owen? Clive Owen,
yeah.
He like jumps out a window, and Brittany Murphy's character leans out, and she says, "You're a fool. You're a damn fool." And it's like my least favorite line read of all time. I got that vibe throughout the entire volume 2 of Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Just, why?
Yeah.
Why are you talking like that?
Yeah.
You're a damn fool.
You damn fool. Nobody talks like that.
Yeah, I don't get it. And nor will I ever. So 2004, we bid you adieu. The top grossing films: Shrek 2, Spider-Man 2, Passion of the Christ,
Horror movie,
Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban, The Incredibles, Day After Tomorrow, Born Supremacy, Shark Tale, Polar Express, National Treasure. I mean, that's just the movies that made a bunch of money.
How the hell is National Treasure so far down on that list?
It's disgraceful. And are they making part 3 yet?
Yeah, great year. I thought it was a great year for just everyday things, but also a great year for movies. I'm going to throw out super fast Collateral. Go check that out. That's a really cool movie as well. I like Michael Mann. I love the movie Thief. And Collateral is a really cool version of what he does as well. So,
in all my research, I didn't know National Treasure was 2004.
All right, folks. It also looks like White Chicks happened in 2004 too. So maybe it's time to just abandon, run away crying. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this long journey of 2004. But I think it was a good time.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll be back next week. Scotty with the news. And then, of course, into all of our goodness. And then, yeah, if you've got anything for 2005 you want us to talk about, movies, music, TV, whatever it is, shoot that over to us because we're now right back into it. I already got a stack of DVDs set aside for movies that we can talk about. A lot of cool stuff coming out in 2005 as well. So super excited for that. Ladies and gentlemen, shoot stuff over to us. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Let us know what you want us to talk about. If you got any news, shoot us news as well. That'll be fun. And then I'm going to start getting this going every month now. We're 6 months out on Name of the Year. So if you've got names from the news from 2024, shoot those over to us, and we'll get that into the Name of the Year competition coming up next spring. So, all right, Scotty Boutros.
Yes.
Gabriel Johnson.
Thank you.
And to you, the fans, we thank you as well. And with that, we're done.
Hey, Roldy, check it out. We're on DVD.
Are you serious?
Yeah, look at all those options down there.
Nice. Nice. Ooh.
Alright, dude, this is really starting to piss me off, alright? We looped this shit about 5 times already, and they still haven't made a decision.
Dude, calm down. Calm down.
No, dude, all they gotta do is press play.
Okay, maybe they left the room. All right? Maybe they got an important telephone call. You ever thought about that?
Yeah, you know what? Then if they're not watching, we can do whatever we want right now. See, at the end of this, we don't really go anywhere. Do we?